Good evening and welcome to the 2023 Western Australian Premiers Book Awards. Please take your seats.
Kaya, Nanquil Catherine Clark, Nala Kadak Wajak Nungamort, Kurawa Yeye Kayan Kadak Nidja Budja. I'm acknowledging the Wajak Noongar people, past and present, as the original custodians of this land where I live and where we're gathered this evening, and acknowledge elders past and present. And I always think, what better location for a library than a place where stories have been told for thousands of generations. Welcome to the 2023 Western Australian Premiers Book Awards. It's wonderful to see so many people here ready to celebrate West Australian writing. So my name is Catherine Clark. I'm the CEO and State Librarian here at the State Library, and I'm delighted to be your MC this evening. And I'd like to start the evening by welcoming Kerry-Ann Winmar to conduct a Welcome to Country. Thank you, Kerry-Ann. Kerry-Ann's a custodian from Wajak and Baladong country through both of her parents. She's a Yorga and elder from Borlu and the Greater Noongar Nation, and she's also the director and business owner of the Noongar Tours Company. So thank you, Kerry-Ann.
Muri Wajak Puja, Wula, Wula, Wula. Chirping Nunak, Ginninderra, Kaya Wanju, Nija, Noongar Puja. Kurlin Dabakan, Nija, Kwapadak, Wajak Puja. First and foremost, I pay my respects to the custodians of the land, the Wajak people, my people. It is of great importance to me because my great-grandmother's mother was born here at Maru, Katagarup, but you would know that as Kings Park. I have my auntie, who's my elder, Auntie Margaret Taylor, that's here. A cousin, Angela Ryder, that's a cousin of mine that's here. But we are very much, connected to our land, of the importance of it. So I say to everyone in this room and this special event tonight, the West Australian Premiers Book Award 2023. And I also say this to the Kimberley family, The Shield and the Spear is a very interesting book. I bought two. But I like to say to everyone in this room, welcome to Wajak country. You know that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were the first midwives, they were the first explorers, they were the first navigators, they were the first engineers, they were the first farmers, they were the first botanists, they were the first scientists, they were the first diplomats, the first astronomers, the first artists on the country. The Wajak-speaking people of the Noongar Nation have thrived over centuries through utilising our natural resources and by understanding the importance of caring for country. The chromosomes that make up the genetic fibres carries over 14 generations before us of strong knowledge, strong wisdom and strong law. And I'm talking about LORE because our people had that a long time before colonisation. There are many stories that are told, and I will share one with you because it's important, and it's a good night to do that because we have lots of authors there, and I understand exactly where everyone's coming from. So there's a story that I've written about Muljal York, a sad story and a sacred story known to the women. And Ginninderra, the star dancer, this was a Noongar man living on Noongar country. But the importance of all of that is sharing our stories because stories have been passed down to us from them old people before us because they give us our language, our song, our dance and that information told to us by our Gabralis, our grandmothers, our Morans, our grandfathers. There are 6 seasons that is in Noongar country. Right now we're in Makaru, the first winter, and I'm wearing my Yonga Booker because it's really nice and warm. But Noongar people moved around the country within that 6-season cycle, and it was about knowing what was out, that they could utilise what was edible and what wasn't. So Noongar people knew their country and they knew about the 6 seasons. There are 14 different clans that make up the Noongar Nation, and each one is named for its specific areas from where they come from. The Noongar Nation extends from here in Boorloo, Whadjuk country, out to Mora. It's called the Ewart country out there, and out to the Balladong in the wheat belt, and as far as Menang in Albany. So Noongar people spoke slightly different dialects within that 14 different clans. It's not about 14 different tribes, it's about the clan groups of speaking that language and knowing that story. The knowledge I hold has been passed down to me through my Gabberly, my grandmother, my Moran, my grandfathers. As a Whadjuk speaking traditional owner of Boorloo and this region, I would like to say to everyone here, welcome to Whadjuk country. But I would like to share with you just a brief little story about a story that was passed down to me from my Gabberleys and my Morans, my old people. This one is called Muljal York. Kura kura nija Banjawarn Muljal York. This is a sad story from long ago about Muljal York, the Christmas tree woman. Muljal York was a very beautiful Noongar woman with lovely long golden shiny hair. Her husband and her family loved her very much because she was so beautiful and kind. Muljal York always helped her family and all the people she cared about. Muljal York was always busy. She gathered food and cooked and cared for her family. Njorndich Baal Mindich Winyan Muljal York. Sadly, Muljal York became very ill. She was going to leave them. Njorndich Muljal York. Noich Winyan Muljal York. As she lay there, the people were crying and calling her name. Muljal York, she heard their sorrow. She called to them, I will come back and visit you again. Today, or early in November, when the beautiful Muljal spirit comes, you will see the golden flowers of the Nutsia floribundra shining like golden rays of sunshine. When Noongar people see the Muljal flowers, they are very happy and have an overwhelming feeling of joy from the beautiful Muljal York spirit. You know, Noongar people never break the flowers or the branches of the Muljal tree because they want the good spirit of the Muljal to visit them again. So I say to everyone in this room, welcome to Whadjuk country.
Thank you, Kerry-Ann, for that beautiful welcome to country and for starting us off with a story. What more could we ask for? So tonight the awards are being live streamed by the State Library's YouTube channel, and a big welcome to everyone who's joining you in the universe out there. And I do want to let you know that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people should be aware that our presentation contains images and names of deceased persons. The awards are Auslan interpreted, courtesy of Auslan Stage Left, so thank you to our interpreters who will be working with us tonight. Oh, yes. Didn't say applause in my notes, so thank you for the spontaneity. The results are going to be live tweeted and then, the results will be live tweeted and then posted on our Facebook page later tonight. So please do share that as much as you can and follow along at statelibrarywa. So the State Library collects and celebrates West Australian history, both recent and going back for many, many generations. And one of our primary roles is collecting, preserving, digitising and providing free access to our state's rich and diverse stories. And we truly believe that everyone's story is important. So we treasure everything and share it from very historically significant moments to the equally important everyday lives of ordinary Western Australians, whoever they might be. But that's a really important part that we feel we can play. And one example of this is on display in the library foyer, where you'll see a small sample of original artwork from our Peter Williams collection of Australian book illustrations. The Premier's Book Award logo that we feature a lot tonight is based on one of those artworks, and it's called Constellation by Moira Court, from the enchanting children's book My Superhero, which was written by Chris Owen and published by Fremantle Press. And the book was actually shortlisted for the 2014 for Best Children's Book. And Moira's book, Lion Is That You, is actually on the shortlist tonight. So fortuitously, the artwork from that book has just been acquired by the State Library, and we'll have it here exhibited from 1st of July to 1st of October, but we're previewing it for some of you here tonight, so it's a little taster of what's to come. And also on this floor of the library is an exhibition called Stuff: History, Home, Family, Love, Identity and Why We Collect It. And this exhibition is intended to highlight the deep personal connections that our staff have with some of the items that are hidden in really what is an absolutely enormous collection. So our collection includes many, many things, but just to give you a taster, we have about 19,000 hours of oral histories, 70,000 pieces of sheet music, over 1.5 million images. So we have all sorts of different things here, even a sword, which you'll see if you look at Stuff. So the time, effort, passion and dedication that, as you can imagine, goes into collecting, preserving and sharing Western Australian history by the staff at the library is certainly beyond measure, and I'm going to let them tell you a little bit about it in their own words on the video. My name's Catherine Clark and I'm the CEO and State Librarian. The State Library's got a few different roles, and I guess if I think about our tagline, which is Treasure Stories, Inspire Possibilities and Strengthen Communities, looking at those three things. So treasuring stories, we have incredible collections that belong to the people of Western Australia that we need to really carefully preserve and share and in fact collect.
Our collections are incredibly special because they reflect very personal and direct experiences of individuals and families and communities in Western Australia.
And what I do here is look at a lot of the private archival materials and the collections and try to understand them, try to make sure that we're improving the access to them, because these materials are all talking about Western Australia's story.
I think a lot of the stories we share have actually been forgotten. They're hidden away in newspapers of days gone by, and it really is a privilege to be able to draw those out again and to share them.
We have the most amazing collections in the State Library that once digitised to international standards, they get uploaded onto the catalogue, and anyone anywhere in the world can look at our fantastic collection.
If I look at the materials that we have that relate to Aboriginal material, many of them that were collected without the permission of the people themselves. But I'm really proud of the fact that we have an incredible team who run our Storylines archive in particular, and they're using that collection to actually connect families back to community when they were part of stolen generations. So I think, absolutely, I think we've got a critical role to play.
The Storylines project is the way that the State Library digitises the Indigenous heritage collection that we look after here at the State Library. And we place it on the archive that has some secure cultural protocols around it to ensure that Aboriginal people are able to access their collections in their time and on their own, by their own means.
You know how they say that a picture has 1,000 words, and I feel like for my people, for Aboriginal people, some of these pictures don't depict the real feelings and emotions at that moment that that picture was taken. You know, you got the family Aboriginal history unit here. That in itself is amazing in this library. We need to embrace it.
We need to get inside the shoes of the people who were there. It's to do with materials and understanding them in the context as they were seen in the day, back in history, as well as the way we view the materials now.
I get a sense sometimes of that person in the past, speaking across time to me in the present, and that's such a privileged position to be in, to be able to read, for instance, letters and diaries that might have been written a very long time ago, but there's a power and a potency in the original document, the original material.
There's a particular letter that we have here. It's been digitised as well. So this is something you can access. Anyone can access this from home via their internet connection through the library catalogue. You know, it's a cigarette pack that's been flattened out. And it was written by a young man called Wallace Farquhar MacLeod. And he was in the front lines at Gallipoli, in the front line trenches, and wanted to write a letter home to his sister, Thelma. He didn't have any paper, and so what did he have to hand? He had his little pencil, and he had a cigarette pack. So he flattened out the cigarette pack, and he wrote a letter to his sister on this cigarette pack. And that was a letter that made its way all the way back from Gallipoli to Western Australia.
The toilet roll diary is a beautiful example of that, because this was written during the war on a toilet roll, and it is a continuum diary. So we had to photograph it in pieces and then join it all together. So that's just another example of the complexity of the material.
We are well aware that our community is incredibly diverse. I mean, 50% of West Australians were not actually born here, or their parents weren't born here, so they've come from all around the world.
You know, the people that came here built this country, the migrants that came here built this country, the people that were massacred for this country. I just feel like it's really important to move forward and be reconciled with our past. Let's start bringing them out of the cobwebs, let's start sharing them with the world, and let's see how we acquired them.
I found also Australia is amazing. The history, everything is very fresh. You can see I can see the people close to you. Really, everyone linked with overseas, and every family got an amazing story. Like me, it's a story as well.
I think it's the State Library is an incredible, long-standing institution, and I feel very fortunate, and I often talk with the library staff about we are here at this point in time, so we have this incredible legacy that we're building on from what others have done.
It's a really important cultural institution. Staff have and need a lot of corporate knowledge. Client Services delivers services and support for clients when they come into the building, but also we assist clients over the phone and via email, back of house as well.
Part of what we do in the education team is to create trails and guides for children to engage in not just exhibitions to do with art, but exhibitions to do with our heritage collections. And we get a lot of schools that are very keen to be immersed in the history and the art that we have here in the State Library.
I think the social media, especially reaching that younger audience, will allow people to understand what the State Library has in its collection and how easy it is to access it and how much is in there.
I'm responsible for all goods coming in and out the building. We can sometimes get about 12 to 14 pallets coming in one day. Some of the articles can be very valuable and they need to be looked at urgently. My name's Peter Vukovic, and I've been at the State Library for about 15 years. And I'm the Van Dock supervisor.
My name is Libby Holmeson, and I look after social media at the State Library.
I'm Charles Wei, or Union Wei. I'm a volunteer in State Library.
My name's Shana Rind. I'm the Manager for Aboriginal Engagement at the WA State Library.
My name's Irina Sikorska. I'm the Manager of Client Services.
My name's Peter Edwards. I'm a librarian in the Heritage and Engagement team at the State Library.
My name is Denny Timath. I'm the Indigenous Liaison Officer here at the State Library and the Coordinator of the Storylines Archive.
My name is Cynthia Coombs. I'm the Senior Digitisation Officer at the State Library.
My name is Tricia McKenzie. I'm an Education Officer here at the State Library of Western Australia.
I am Nika McLaughlin. I am the Social Media and Communication Officer at the library.
I'm Kate Gregory, and my role at the State Library is as the Batty Historian.
Always looking to community to guide us, lead us, walk alongside us, and that's the only way that this institution will continue to be as relevant as it has to date. We've I have to tell you, we've had that video playing at the exhibition there, and every time I walk down the stairs, I see myself larger than life, which is very disconcerting. And I did actually get bailed up in the car park by somebody who said, "Are you the CEO? I saw you on the video upstairs." So anyway, good to know that people are watching it. So now I'm delighted to introduce the Honourable David Templeman, MLA, Minister for Culture and the Arts, to come to the stage to co-present the awards this evening. Thank you, Minister.
Well, Kaya, and good evening, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here this evening to present the 2023 Western Australian Premier's Book Awards on behalf of the Premier. I've got to get this right because it's changed. The Honourable Roger Cook, and the Premier sincerely sends his apologies as he's, getting the ropes right. But first of all, and most importantly, I want to acknowledge that we meet on Wujak Wujja. And can I thank you, Kerry-Ann, for your magnificent welcome to country, and I'd like to acknowledge that we meet on this magnificent part of Western Australia, on the traditional lands of the Wujak people. I'm from Banjawarn country. I've come up from there today, but born in Balladong country. And I want to acknowledge all First Nations people here tonight on these very important awards. And can I pay my respects to all elders who are present today, and of course acknowledge the wonderful journey we have together. I want to acknowledge this wonderful young lady over here, because I taught her in primary school. I think I did quite well. Now, I've got to say, it's always dangerous because I've got to follow a script tonight. Very dangerous for me. I'm an improviser, but I know. But I'm going to stick to the script as best I can. The Honourable John Day, can I acknowledge you, and I thank you. You're the Chairman of the Library Board of Western Australia, but you also made a tremendous contribution to the state of Western Australia as a Member of Parliament. And John, I really thank you for your continued commitment to Western Australia as Chair of our State Library Board, and also for a number of other roles that you play. And I thank you, John. It's great to see you tonight. Can I acknowledge Catherine, who's a bit nervous of me because she's sort of looking, going, I hope he follows the script, because, she's having a drink behind there. You should use a glass. Can I acknowledge Erin Gauntlet, who is the Acting Director General of the department, and Ian Reid, who is the Chair of the Premier's Book Award Judges Panel in a very important role. I want to acknowledge all the wonderful staff and the volunteers of our State Library. They are wonderful. Catherine, you lead a tremendous team, and I want to thank you. And I think we should acknowledge the tremendous staff of this magnificent institution. Now, to Ian and all the judges, thank you. Edith Wright is here, Board Director of Magabala Books, that wonderful institution based in Broome. William Yeoman, CEO of Writing Western Australia, thank you very much for being here. Tyrone Gustone, CEO of the Kimberley Land Council. There are previous winners of the Premier's Book Awards who are here tonight. And we have, of course, Western Australian writers, illustrators, editors and publishers. We have book lovers here, and we have people online. If you're online, great to have you here tonight. I hope I'm looking in the right direction. Now look, before I start, because I like to be modern, saw some of those grainy black and white photos, so I think we should do a selfie. So if you just all smile, and I hope this works because I'm pretty hopeless, but let's just do that first of all. So Here we go. Oh, you know. Yeah, wave. It'll probably be a blur, but never mind. Look, tonight's an important night. It really is, and it's just a great thrill to be here because this is an important part of our cultural calendar for Western Australia. Now, this is the 39th time that these awards have been presented since '82. So that's 1982. And it's a great opportunity for our West Australian writers, illustrators and publishers to be recognised, supported, celebrated and valued. The prizes celebrate books published or self-published in the calendar year for 2022. And of course, they're open to Western Australian resident writers of any style or genre. Now, we're honoured to support Australia's leading Indigenous publisher, and we should be very proud of this in Western Australia, of Broome-based Magabala Books, in presenting a category which of course recognises Indigenous writers from across Australia, the Daisy Utamora Award for unpublished Indigenous junior and young adult fiction. I reckon that's wonderful, don't you? I do. I reckon that's brilliant. Now, we're also excited that Writing WA has sponsored the brand new Book of the Year category for the next 3 years, and we thank Writing WA for that. Can we also acknowledge, of course, that Writers WA is, or Writing WA is the peak body for writers in Western Australia, and we again welcome William to the CEO role. Now, the awards tonight, we received 163 nominations in 4 categories, and that's a huge number of nominations, and I think that attests to the tremendous talent and depth of talent that we have in the state of Western Australia, the passion, the hard work, the commitment of the creative sector. And it's wonderful to see incredible varieties of genres, styles and stories that have been shortlisted. And for the first time, a self-published book, Acacia House, by Vivien Stuart, made the shortlist. I think that's worth a clap. But I want to tell you this, it really is important that these awards are held here in our state library. It really is. It is, as Catherine has said, where writing and storytelling is, in all of its forms, is cherished, collected, preserved and shared. And I want to take a moment to just acknowledge those people in our lives who have had the influence in terms of our love of literature. Now, we need to keep on acknowledging and celebrating those people. For many of us, for many of you, it is our teachers, our parents, loved ones that instilled a love of literature, of reading and of writing in our lives. And we need to take these moments to recognise them. For me, I have an indelible imprint of the teachers that influenced me in my love of literature and my love of writing. Les Hamill, he's now in his 90s, he lives in 2J, but he taught me in primary school in Avonvale in Northam. Les, like so many, had a beautiful way of giving the gift and the love of literature to me and so many students. But his story is one of many. So tonight I also want to reflect on those people in all of our lives who've helped to instill that love of the word, of the words, of the stories that help to make our West Australian and Australian story. So to all of those educators, to all of those people, past, present, those that have passed on, but who've made that indelible imprint, Give them a big warm hand because we celebrate them too. Now, I want to really commend sincerely all of the shortlisted authors and the illustrators for their contribution to Western Australia's literary landscape. Your work is incredible. It is incredible. And you should be tremendously proud of your achievement. And so, I'm going to ask the shortlisted nominees, you know who you are, to stand up if you're able to. Stand up, these people. Look around, everyone. These are the ones we celebrate tonight. Face the audience. Thank you so much. Sincerely, thank you so much. Thank you for giving so much to us, and thank you for the generosity and for that passion. It's just a tremendous thing. Well, I better get off now. Well, I won't get off. I'm going to help. But I really want to congratulate everybody who has been shortlisted. You're all winners tonight. You're all winners tonight. We are all winners tonight because of your work. Western Australians and Australians are all winners tonight because of your work. All the very best. Congratulations. And let's have a great evening of celebrating the wonderful creatives of Western Australia. Good on you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Minister. And just to set the record straight, I have not touched a drop of alcohol so far tonight, despite the slander that may have come out. The first category to be presented tonight is the Premier's Prize for an Emerging Writer. And to help the Minister co-present the award, I'd like to invite Renee Pettitt-Schip to the stage. Renee, if you could come forward. Renee's work with asylum seekers in detention centres on Christmas Island and the Cocos Islands inspired her first collection of poetry, and the stunning book, The Sky Runs Right Through Us, won the 2018 Premier's Prize for an Emerging Writer. So I'm going to give you these.
How wonderful to be with you all this evening, and I'm delighted and honoured to be here to present the award, so thank you. The Premier's Prize for an Emerging Writer is for the published work of prose, poetry or narrative non-fiction in any genre by a West Australian author. The award comes with $15,000 prize money. The shortlisted authors are Acacia House, written by Vivien, Stuart, self-published. The Assassin Thief, written by Madeline Tewu, published by New Dawn Publishing. Banjawarn, written by Josh Kemp, published by UWA Publishing. Bone Picker, written by Thomas Simpson, published by Ginninderra Press. And Tea, written by Alan Fife, published by Transit Lounge.
Give them another big warm hand, all of the nominees, ladies and gentlemen. Now, great honour to announce the winner of the Premier's Prize for an Emerging Writer is indeed Josh Kemp, Banjawarn, published by UWA Publishing.
Wow. Yep, I wasn't expecting this. I was very anxious about tonight, so the way I dealt with that anxiety was to completely convince myself I wasn't going to win. So there goes that strategy. thank you to the judges. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for seeing through all the darkness and horror in this novel and seeing that this is actually a story about survivors and survival. And survival may not always be pretty, but it is a daily reality for a lot of people, and there is strength in living with and surviving trauma. Look, Banjawarn probably would have never seen the light of day if it wasn't for the 2021 Dorothy Hewitt Award and the amazing crew at the University of Western Australia Publishing, Kate Pickard, Eleanor Hurt, Tony Hughes-Daith, Brendan Fredericks, who's been this novel's biggest fan and supporter right from the start, and judges that year, Lenny Shilton and Will Yeoman. When I first finished the draft of this novel, I thought, this is too dark to send to any publishers, and I really only entered it into the award because it was about the right word length, basically. And the rest is history. I also want to mention there were 2 winners that year. We were co-winners, Kashak Aketch and I, and Kashak's novel, Hopeless Kingdom, has just been shortlisted for the Miles Franklin. So congratulations to her, and fingers crossed. Some very important people. My Aunt Jane, who's watching online. Hi, Jane. Jane gets first read and tick of approval of everything I write and won't hesitate to tell me if it's shit. So thank you, Jane. I love you very much. My mentor, Donna Mazza, who saw something in me when I was an 18-year-old student at ECU. Don't know what she saw, but she had faith in me, and she's been with me every step of the way. My parents, who are here tonight, they've kept me safe and healthy and sane, even at times in my life when I was determined to be none of those 3 things. Thank you very much. I love you both very much. Look, strip all the terror away from Banjawarn, and there's a lot of terror in the book. The book is a love letter to the Northern Goldfields. Northern Goldfields is a region of Western Australia which I think the rest of the state can often forget about. It's a region that is often valued for the resources it can supply the rest of the state, but it's an extraordinary place. Not only is it home to some of the oldest and most extraordinary cultures on the planet, it is a place of remarkable natural beauty and wonder and mystery. And I hope anyone who reads the book ends up as in love with the Northern Goldfields as I am. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Josh, and congratulations. The Minister may be signing you up for Tourism WA before long, I think, with that sort of talk. So now I'd like to invite children's author Shirley Marr to the stage. Thank you, Shirley. Last year, Shirley's groundbreaking book, A Glasshouse of Stars, won the Premier's Prize for Writing for Children and the Children's Book Council of Australia Book of the Year for Young Readers. And her latest book, All Four Quarters of the Moon, is a celebration of sisterhood and Chinese culture. So we'll have it down pat by the end of the night, Minister.
Thank you, Catherine. Kaya. I am thrilled to present the Premier's Prize for Children's Book of the Year, which is for a work of prose, poetry or narrative non-fiction written for children aged 0 to 12, in any genre, with a prize of $15,000. The shortlisted titles are Lion, Is That You? Written and illustrated by Moira Court, published by Fremantle Press. Nene Tata and the Mangrove Menace, written by Judith Wooden-Price and Jackie Woon, published by Crotchet Quaver, Noteworthy Publications. Owl and Star, written and illustrated by Helen Milroy, published by Fremantle Press. The Raven Song, written by Zana Freylon and Brett McDibble, published by Allen and Unwin. And Wild Australian Life, written by Leonard Cronin, illustrated by Chris Nixon, published by Allen and Unwin.
Give them all a big warm hand. Congratulations to all of the nominees. Children's books are always my favourite, and can I say that the winning book was described by the judges as an excellently illustrated book for inquisitive readers. And ladies and gentlemen, the Premier's Prize for the Children's Book of the Year goes to Wild Australian Life, written by Leonard Cronin and illustrated by Chris Nixon. Please congratulate them.
Wow. I'm very humbled and honoured to, is that going to sit up there? Accept this on behalf of Len as well. I almost didn't make it here tonight. Actually, my wife just gave birth to our third baby. Only 2 days ago, so we weren't sure I was going to make it, but boy, I'm glad I did. This is amazing, and just really honoured to be here and to see all these, just this amazing atmosphere for literature. I'm really, really blessed to be here. I have to say it was a book that I'd probably overlooked in the past. It's something I grew up on that I loved working on non-fiction. I loved reading non-fiction books and kind of diving right into all the information, but I've overlooked it thinking that maybe there wasn't that creativity in there, and I couldn't have been, more wrong in this case, because Davina Bell and the team at Allen and Unwin just gave me complete creative license, and I could just dive right into it. And work on it with my son, which was a beautiful process. He was like my little editor at home. He would kind of check off if everything was cool and if it was interesting to him, and we could kind of build this up together. And so it was a beautiful process, and I want to say thanks to the Allen and Unwin team for I guess, taking a risk on me, having not worked in this field before in non-fiction works, and for my family and for everybody that supported me along the way. I'm really grateful and humbled. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations. Next up is the Daisy Utamora Award for Unpublished Indigenous Junior and Young Adult Fiction, named in honour of author and poet Daisy Utamora, who is an elder of the Wanambal people from the Mitchell Plateau area in the far north Kimberley. And Daisy was a founder of Magabala Books. The award's administered and funded by Magabala Books with support from Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries. And I'd like to invite Edith Wright to the stage to co-present this award. Edith has been a director on the board of Magabala for 13 years, and she's a Bardi Jawi with a background in education and an accomplished author herself. So welcome, Edith.
Thank you, Catherine. I'd like to thank Kerry-Ann Winmar for a heartfelt welcome to country. There's nothing like a welcome to country to make you feel grounded and also to make you feel safe, so thank you, Kerry-Ann. It's a privilege to be on Whadjuk Noongar country, and I'd also like to honour the elders of the country and pay my respects to the elders past and present. It's always a thrill for us to gather with our literary colleagues, authors, storytellers, friends at WA Premier's Award. And I'm very pleased to be here on behalf of the Magabala team to present this award with Minister Templeman, who has really made it a lovely night. I actually knew Daisy Utamora very, very well. I grew up in Derby where Daisy was, and my mother was actually born on country with Daisy in the remote Presbyterian mission of Cunmunya. So I was very lucky to grow up with this magnificent lady. She is a founding elder, and she's also an award-winning poet, storyteller, and passionate educator. And Daisy Utamura knew the power of writing down and sharing her stories, and she was adamant to make sure that her family and her culture and the kids around her stayed connected to country, and she also took it on her to make sure that the white children and white families around her was educated in their ways. So reconciliation started way back with Daisy. This award for an unpublished work of junior or young adult fiction continues her legacy to ensure that our young people have stories to ground them and to grow up and to connect with. The Daisy Utamura Award is for a new manuscript of junior or young adult fiction by an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander and was open Australia-wide. The award comes with $15,000 prize money and publishing contract with Magabala Books. The Daisy Utamura Award would not be possible without the generous support of Copyright Agency's Cultural Fund, the West Australian State Government and the State Library. We thank you deeply and genuinely for your support. Awards like these spark careers and they change lives. They make people curious. They make people wander. These books do not exist yet, but we cannot wait for readers to experience the brilliance of these writers. I am thrilled to present this year's shortlisted titles. Uncle Xbox Book 2, Getting Dusty by Jared Thomas. The Ultimate AGD by Kim Morrison. A Queen's Glory by Kirsty Harris. I would now ask the Minister to join me to announce the Daisy Utamura Award for 2023.
Thank you so much, Edith, and again, thank you to Magabala Books. What a magnificent Western Australian institution. Now, the winning book was described by the judges as one that lingers in your mind after reading. And so, the winner of the Daisy Utamura Award for unpublished Indigenous junior and YA fiction is... Congratulations to Jared Thomas, Uncle Xbox, Book 2, Getting Dusty.
Okay, so honoured to be with you all tonight on Wandjuk Country. Thank you very much for the welcome to country earlier. It's such a great honour to be here because Daisy Utamura really embodies everything that I want to do as an author and what I hope to achieve through Uncle Xbox, which is about really sharing my Nukana culture with readers and particularly young people in my family. Also, it's a great honour to be here in Western Australia because Western Australia really is the powerhouse of Aboriginal writing and theatre. And so many great Western Australian writers have inspired me as a writer, and particularly Uncle Al. So I want to send a big shout out to Uncle Al, who's actually Alf Taylor, who's in hospital at the moment. Of course, Magabala Books is Australia's leading publisher, and it's such a great honour. Uncle Xbox was published with Magabala in March, and so now to have Uncle Xbox 2 and this support, which will enable me to conduct research, because I have to, in New Zealand, Fiji and Hawaii with other First Nations people to write to keep working on books 2 to book 6. Yeah, just thank you very much to the State Library, and I've only been here for a couple of days. I haven't spent a lot of time in Perth, but I am so impressed by your Arts Minister and also the Cultural Precinct. My 9 to 5 work, I'm the curator of Aboriginal material culture and visual art at the South Australian Museum, and spending time at the museum today, just fantastic. In your Cultural Precinct, you should be very proud of your state and what you're achieving, and particularly the support giving to Aboriginal storytelling. Please continue to support Magabala Books. It does amazing work for Aboriginal creators all across this country. Thank you very much. Can I just, we're just getting a selfie because he did it.
Thank you. We might have to add that to the script for next year, Minister. So next up is our brand new category, the Premier's Prize for Book of the Year, sponsored by Writing WA. And I'd like to invite the CEO of Writing WA, Yeoman, to the stage to co-present this award. Will has worked as a literary editor, music critic, festival director and journalist, and his office is conveniently just behind us here because they co-share the building with us, but we've pulled him away from his keyboard, and we're going to actually ask Will to interview tonight's winner once they're announced as well. So I will pass that over.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. And look, I have to say, it's not strictly true. I didn't tear myself away from the keyboard. I spent the afternoon bludgeoning, actually, watching these guys put together such an amazing event, which I'm sure you'll all agree. So it is indeed a wonderful privilege to be working here in this great space, which I've enjoyed for many decades as a child and then as an adult. So to be actually working in the same space is just a dream come true. Just a little bit about Writing WA. This major award, which for us is probably the most visible, the most substantial, and certainly, I don't know, I guess it's the most celebratory part of what we do, but it is only a part of a largely new Writing WA. It's a new board, a new team, and we've really only been together for about 8 weeks or so. And I'm just so proud of the work that everyone's done in pulling together a series of events, round tables, workshops, in conversations and so forth, here mostly in the State Library, and again most of that would not be possible without the support of the State Library, and I'm looking forward to working with them closely in the future. But those events are already into their double digits. That's only 8 weeks. We're already on the second series of our new podcast, Pod Street, which is the official Writing WA podcast. And if you haven't heard it already, please do so everywhere you get your podcasts, as they say. And there are so many other huge events coming up in the future, all of which are there for the sole purpose of supporting our amazing Western Australian authors, poets and illustrators. Not just them, but the readers, the retailers, the publishers and everyone involved in making what our Western Australian writer scene is, which is, to my mind, one of the best in the world. So that's a little bit about the new Writing WA. So, to the award. Before I ask the Minister to join me to announce the award officially, I would like to talk about the shortlisted titles. They are Clean, written by Scott Patrick Mitchell, published by Upswell Publishing. Nimblefoot, written by Robert Drew, published by Penguin Random House. The Red Witch, a biography of Catherine Susanna Pritchard, written by Nathan Hobby, published by Melbourne University Publishing. The Shield and the Spear, the Kimberley Land Council, written by Joe Fox, published by Magabala Books. and Thistledown Seed, a memoir written by Louise Helfgott, published by Brandel and Schlesinger. Say that 5 times really fast, I dare you. So now to Minister Templeman, please join us.
Thank you, William. And the winning book was described by the judges as a fine example of the biographer's art, and the winner of the Premier's Prize for the Book of the Year, sponsored by Writing Western Australia, is The Red Witch, a biography of Catherine Susanna Pritchard by Nathan Hobby, published by Melbourne University Publishing. Congratulations.
If you know anything about Catherine Susanna Pritchard, you might know she was a communist. She lived through 2 world wars, a depression and a Cold War. And she felt an unresolvable tension between wanting to address the urgent crises of the time and wanting to take time to write. As a biographer, I sometimes find it hard to justify my enthusiasm for past lives, given the urgent times we live in. In the face of climate change, climate activism is being criminalised. COVID, not resolved. But still, I can't let go of the past, and remembering the stories of our ancestors who walked the same streets we now walk. I'm so glad that we have these awards to recognise writing in Western Australia. I'm so glad of the State Library's existence. It's such an important place to collect and remember our stories. It's not always easy being a writer. It was 14 years between my first published book and my second published book, this one. And I felt I was wandering through a desert that I might never come out of. And look, I've come out. It means so much to receive this recognition. I acknowledge the other wonderful books which were shortlisted and entered for this year's prize. I thank my publisher, Melbourne University Publishing, for producing a beautiful book true to my hopes and dreams for it, and for Catherine for coming over from Melbourne for tonight. I had such a myriad of people walking alongside me at different points of the journey, and I can't mention them all now, but they include Tony Hughes-Daff, Van Eycken, and the good people at the KSP Writers Centre, who have been keeping the legend of Catherine alive for decades. My wife, Nicole, has been there the whole way, a true believer in me and the story. Our children, Thomas and Sarah, were born in the many years I was working on The Red Witch, and I'm so glad that they love books and could be here with us tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so yes, another innovation tonight. We're going to have a short interview with the winner. I would like to start, if I may, by reading an excerpt. And before I do that, actually, I have to congratulate you on the book, the writing. The best way I can describe it is it's transparent, in that as much as you disappear, and what comes forth is the voice of Catherine Susanna Pritchard and the voices of those who knew and loved her and who perhaps didn't love her so much. And that was just a wonderful joy. But to have the preface as well and the afterword, which gives you the opportunity to personalise things, I thought that was just such a beautiful way to do it. So if I may, by way of asking the first question, just read an excerpt from that preface. I hope this book will be of interest and use to scholars. However, I have written it for a general readership, drawn to the peculiar pleasures of biography, the true drama of a life, the glimpses of a lost but familiar world, the recoverable details of the past. It is not a cultural history or a work of literary criticism, but the story of one remarkable Australian life. So Nathan, if I may ask you, why is this life so remarkable and why is it so deserving of a biography of the magnitude of yours?
Catherine Pritchard embodies what Australia was over the first 7 decades of the 20th century. She went through everything, from federation to all those difficult times I mentioned. She went through a whole series of changes in her thinking. Through that all, she tried to express what it meant to be Australian and to write about Australia, while also trying to solve the world's problems. She had a dramatic and a tragic life, and I think in telling her story, I was able to tell something of the story of Australia and what it meant to be Australian through her long life from 1883 to 1969.
Beautiful, thank you. Now, I understand this has been very much a labour of love for you and very much, quite a long and not always straightforward journey. So I'd like to ask you, what first inspired you? And I know you do talk about this in the preface, which is quite extraordinary. You talk about an unpublished novel and how you wrote about a fictional biographer. And that kind of set you on the path to this, but nevertheless, a lot else happened in the interim.
Yes, it was a book that didn't get published in that journey in the desert that made me realise I wanted to write biography. I was writing a novel about a biographer and then realised I wanted to do the real thing. And I did enjoy it lots more. And as the more I came to, I already knew a bit about Catherine Pritchard, but the more I came to know of her, the more I realised that she was someone I could live with for a long time and never get sick of her, and I never did. There's various ways in which I disagree with her or thought she made bad choices, or she wrote a couple of bad books even, but she also wrote some brilliant ones, and she was good company for all that time. So somehow I stumbled into the right choice, and my problem right now is I can't choose a new person successfully.
Now, just a final question, if I may. Clearly, research has been so fundamental to this biography, and indeed any biography, and I'm just wondering, with your experience as a librarian, and I understand you've actually worked here in the past as well, to what extent has it been important to have so much access to so much material such that you can bring these stories to life? Because the quotations and the way that you've integrated them in the biography is one of the chief joys of reading it, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd like to think my biography serves as an advertisement for why we need archives, why we need libraries, what it means to preserve the past. We need to try to save the rich parts of someone's life, the letters, the diaries, the revealing things. And something like the Trove digitisation of newspapers has meant that other things come to life that were sort of lost without that digitisation. So I think it's exciting when we hear things speak from the archives, and for me it was such an honour and a privilege to be able to excavate and draw together a story that was woven out of the remains that Catherine Susanna Pritchard left, faithfully preserved by this State Library and many other institutions across Australia.
Okay, well, Nathan Hoppy, thank you so much and congratulations again.
So before we get to the final award of the evening, I'd like to take a moment to thank our judges, Caitlin Mailing, Ian Reid, Jane Cleave, Liana Joy Christensen, Megan McCracken, Michael Yeoman, Michelle Smith, Patricia Dowsett, Susanna Uliano, and Rose Van Som. And as you can imagine, it was a huge job to try and whittle down all those amazing books to our shortlist and then to actually decide on who our winners might be. So they carefully read, considered, compared and assessed all of those entries, and their time, enthusiasm and knowledge has been incredibly invaluable for us. So Ian has also been a wonderful head judge, and as a token of our appreciation, we would like to present you with some flowers, Ian. Thank you. Yes, sure.
Thank you. But just to say, I wish I had thought to bring a bunch of flowers myself, because I think the library needs to be acknowledged again for its role in organising, administering such a complex operation. All of the judges I know, because they've expressed this to me and I've certainly felt it, are very much indebted to the library, a number of people, but I must mention specifically Karen Farmer for her excellent work. Karen and her colleagues made it possible for us as judges to do our job. The huge logistic task, all the checking, all the coordinating, all the distribution and so on is really an immense task, and no one would take on the judging of something as large and complex as this if it weren't that there was such a fantastic organisation behind it. So thanks, Karen and everyone.
Thank you, Ian. So the last category for tonight, or final, I'm going to call it final category for tonight, is the Western Australian Writers' Fellowship. And I'd like to welcome Amanda Curtin to the stage. I think Amanda's probably known to everyone in this audience, but Amanda won the fellowship at the 2019 awards. She's an acclaimed writer and book editor, and her books include Elemental, The Sinkings, Inherited, and Kathleen O'Connor of Paris. And she's currently working on a new novel, which I'm sure people are keen to hear about, a work of historical fiction set in Ireland, Gold Rush, Perth, and Kalgoorlie in the 1890s. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks very much, Catherine. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be here tonight, and I have to say I'm going to be speedy about this because I know there are 5 very anxious people in the audience, so here we go. The West Australian Writers' Fellowship is intended to assist a writer in any genre to develop their writing practice and to give them the time to create new work. At $60,000, the fellowship is one of the most valuable awards in Australian arts. The shortlisted authors for 2023 are Carolyn Wadley-Dowling, Madison Godfrey, Michael Trant, Norman Jorgensen, and Tracy Ryan. Good luck, everyone.
This is a tremendous fellowship, and it's my great honour, really, to announce that the West Australian Writers' Fellowship for 2023 is awarded to Tracy Ryan.
Unfortunately, I think you've all worked out by now I'm not Tracy, and she wasn't able to be here tonight because of being overseas. However, on the chance that they had won the award, we did ask for a video, so we're going to play that now.
Hello everyone, my name's Tracy Ryan. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Noongar peoples on whose countries I write. That is the place where Balladong, Eward and Whadjuk countries meet. To pay my respect to their elders past, present and to come, and especially to acknowledge their ongoing presence and powerful culture. I'm delighted and grateful to be included tonight, and sorry that I can't be there in person. I'd like just quickly to make a few thanks. First, in general, to all the people involved in running these awards and making everything tick, the State Library and others, very much appreciated. Also some more specific thanks, both to family who have been very encouraging and supportive and helpful of my writing, and to other writers in the writing community. So first, of course, to my long-term partner, John Kinsella, for all his enthusiasm and belief, to my son Tim also, and thanks to Wendy and John A as well for ongoing support in everything. And furthermore, to all the writers within the WA writing community and elsewhere with whom I've worked closely, you know who you are. Thanks also. And specifically with regard to my the project I foresee, to Kate Noski especially for her encouragement, to Alex Allen from Fremantle Press, to Barry Scott from Transit Lounge, who is just the best publisher and without whom nothing would be as possible as it is. Thanks, Barry. Also to my agent, Clive Newman. And if there's anybody I've forgotten to thank, please feel yourselves included in the general thanks, because I'm very grateful for the sustaining and the faith that comes from family and from other writers. I wish everyone well with tonight's outcomes, and thanks to all involved. Good night.
So thank you to Amanda. Amanda, thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful support. And again, congratulations to Tracy Ryan, but to all the shortlisted authors, thank you very much. Now look, I want to finally say thank you to you, Catherine, and to the State Library for managing the Premier's Book Awards and for hosting this evening's event, to everyone who was nominated, and of course those that were awarded the various awards. It's just tremendous. I've had a great time, and I want to have a bit more of a great time. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for enriching our lives with your magnificent stories. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Templeman, both for joining us but also being such a gracious co-host. And thank you also, I'll add my thanks to the others who've thanked the State Library staff for helping to manage the awards themselves and also this event. It's very much appreciated. So we're getting to the end of our formal proceedings, but I will take the opportunity just to promote two upcoming exhibitions that are going to be coming to the State Library over the next few weeks. The first one I wanted to mention is an exhibition called Game Changers, which is trailblazing stories of WA women in soccer. And we've deliberately got that one to coincide with the upcoming FIFA World Cup. And I have to tell you that there are some absolutely incredible stories of WA women in soccer, and I'm really, really looking forward to sharing those. And the other one is called What Road Are You Going to Take?, which is an intimate look at the stories behind Noongar printmaker Laurel Nanup's glorious artworks, and it's being curated by her son Brett Nanup, which is pretty special. Thank you to everyone who's joined us on the live stream. Unfortunately, we're not quite yet in the technology where we can share the refreshments with you online, but we do hope that you'll visit us again either online or in person very soon. The Boffin's pop-up bookshop is going to be here until 9:30, so you can purchase all of the shortlisted books, and I'm sure many of our authors and illustrators would be happy to sign copies. So now I'd like to ask everyone to move back out to the main foyer and join us for refreshments, and that concludes the 2023 Premier's Book Awards. Thank you.